Thank you, His Excellency, for giving time for this interview. I'd like to start with the bilateral relationship. What would you say are the priorities for Singapore's relationship with Myanmar?
Well, I think first and foremost, we regard Myanmar as an old friend and neighbor. We have known each other since the time of Singapore's self-government in 1959, because many friends in Myanmar here says that at that time Mr. Lee Kuan Yew sent our civil servants to come to then Burma, Rangoon, to learn from aspects of the development. So I can see that is one start point of our relations, and from there it was very good building of close relations at the political leaders level. Then of course the businesses from both sides built a relationship. And then as more Myanmar people come to live, work and study in Singapore, we have this other foundation of people-to-people relations. So I think my Myanmar friends say there are about 100,000 over Myanmar people living in my country. And now Singaporeans living in Myanmar is growing, a few hundred. So with such exchanges, I think that really strengthens relationship between countries. People to people is a very strong element of relations between countries. Yeah. So I think on our priorities, I think we will continue to be a good friend and neighbor to Myanmar, and continue to support Myanmar in a practical area where we have learned and benefited from many developed countries, and that's human resource development, capacity building. So since we started our own technical assistance program, the so-called ODA program, called the Singapore Cooperation Program, we have from 1992 till now created other sub-programs. In the year 2000, we have the Initiative for ASEAN Integration. That is for the 4 new member countries of ASEAN, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Myanmar, and we set up in each country a training center. So here, the Myanmar Singapore Training Center was set up in Yangon around 2002. And then we have created other programs, like when President U Tin Sen came to my country on a state visit in January 2012, we created the Singapore-Myanmar Technical Cooperation Program to help in the capacity building of the government over the past 5 years in 3 areas: economic development, human resource development, and public administration. So cumulatively, under all these programs, I'm happy to note that we have been able to contribute training for over 12,500 Myanmar civil servants. And this is a very encouraging number in terms of supporting capacity in the civil service of your country. And last year, following the visit of the Singapore President in 2013, we have started a Singapore-Myanmar Vocational Training Institute at Namok Road in the Bahan Township. And this is to support vocational education for young people in your country. A different pathway for those who cannot go on to university. Vocational education, like what we have in Singapore through the Institute of Technical Education, provides young people with a different set of skills that will help them find gainful employment through the track of vocational education. So we are working closely with your government to run these 6-month courses 2 times a year to create about 800 skilled workers for local industry and foreign investors in 4 schools: electronics and electrical work, facilities management, engineering services, and hospitality and tourism. And I'm very happy to know that the first batch, the pioneer batch, which are finishing, are really getting job offers. So it's very encouraging, but this is what I think Singapore will continue to do to support Myanmar's development in areas where we have the expertise. and primarily this is in human resource development.
How about bilateral trade? 5 years ago, Singapore was Myanmar's fourth largest trading partner.
Yeah.
How about the current situation about the bilateral between the two countries?
Well, I think statistically, from what we get from the Myanmar government statistics, we are now, I believe, third largest trade partner of Myanmar. And I think this shows the vibrancy of the relationship between our two countries. The business people know each other well. I remember about 4 years ago, a new MOU was signed between the UMFCCI and the Singapore counterpart, the Singapore Business Federation, to enhance cooperation and find a mechanism for any dispute in any business relations. And I think from such cooperation, knowing each other, there's been an increase in trade between our two countries. And there are many things that I think we like to see exported from Myanmar, particularly foodstuffs, because most of the food we eat in Singapore are imported. So I'm happy to see that a year ago, after working with the Myanmar private sector here, we can now find Centalo mangoes in our supermarkets. And I hope to see maybe in the coming year your famous posam with fragrant rice.
Yeah.
Because I think many people in Singapore remember eating your famous Burmese rice, because Irrawaddy Delta was the rice bowl for Asia. And vice versa, I'm sure there are exports from my country that can be helpful for the Myanmar economy. So I think that's why we are seeing the trade growing steadily.
Yeah. Singapore, in my opinion, has been sort of the destination for many Burmese elite, those who have money, who have resources, even for for health, banking.
Yeah.
And so how do you see this? We have seen people going there, elite going there to Singapore. Is it going to have more? How do you see these prospects of Myanmar's Myanmar destination having more and more?
Well, I think we welcome anyone in the region or the world at large to come to our country for tourism, and of course this whole new area, medical tourism, and also for businesses or even private banking. We are a financial center within the region, and we welcome people to come and invest. Well, of course, there'll be strict laws of screening before one can open a bank account, and these are following international standards. But we will continue to welcome people from Myanmar, from different income groups, to come, even for simple medical screening. If they find Singapore comfortable and facilities are of a good standard, I'm sure we will see more people coming. But also, I think the main thing is we are an open country, and also in the area of tourism, we welcome Myanmar people to come and visit. So I do see a growing number of Myanmar tourists, even whenever I go home on vacation and I take the bus to my apartment, which is outside the city. In the bus I hear Myanmar language because there are people living in different parts of Singapore, including my township where I stay in Singapore. So to me, I'm very heartened to see that this is part of the two-way exchange between our countries. And even in Yangon now, I'm sure if you go to the restaurants, you find a whole new generation of young business people or young professionals coming here to live, to work, and look for trade investment opportunities. So I think it's not just a one way; it's two ways. And but that's part of being, the ASEAN Economic Community, ASEAN neighbors, and friends in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, yeah. How about the financial institutions, like some of the Myanmar companies, for example, Yoma is listed in Singapore, and we now have a stock exchange in Myanmar. That kind of financial institutional relationship or two ways financial investment, do you expect more with especially with the new government in Myanmar?
Yes, well, we wish the new stock exchange well. The Singapore Exchange have come up a few years ago to have a dialogue and how we can help the stock exchange to set up, and that we also welcome Myanmar companies to list on the Singapore Exchange as long as they meet the usual criteria for listing. So of course currently we only have one Myanmar company listed, but we welcome other Myanmar companies to consider listing because the Singapore Stock Exchange is an established regional and international platform for listing. So I think there are a lot of potential for the stock exchange listing in Singapore, but also with time, also we wish your stock exchange well, as it will grow, it will evolve. But as in anything new, there's always a starting phase. And I'm told by the industry experts, a stock exchange requires a supporting ecosystem. So I'm sure with time, more companies will be listed here. But it's an encouraging start, as I've seen in the news here.
I'd like to touch a little bit more about the bilateral relationship. This man will complete 50 years of bilateral relationship between the two countries. When we look at that long-lasting friendship, Burma, Myanmar, under the military government, if we look at those areas, Western countries boycotted Burma, Myanmar, but Singapore engaged with the government here. What do you think? Why you had taken a different approach than with many Western countries?
Well, our foreign policy is a very simple, basic principle. We want to have many friends as possible around the world, and naturally within Southeast Asia, Myanmar is a neighbor as the other countries in the region, and we look back also historically the relationship between our two countries. As I said, when we had self-government in 1959, our political leaders built the relationship with your country. And I could see coming here first time as a young civil servant in August 1980, the relationship between our two countries during the socialist era to the military government in 2006 when I arrived, and to the period of U Tin Sen's government, and today a new government. But the consistency is our desire to be good friends with our neighbors. We accept that in every country there will always be change of government. But in our foreign policy, the pragmatism is always to sustain good neighborly relations. So engagement, yes, it's very much a core principle of our foreign policy. So when Myanmar chose to join ASEAN in 1997, we welcome and we supported because this is our neighbor who wants to be part of a regional economic community. So I think there is a consistency in our foreign policy. And I must also say that historically, we are grateful that when we were independent in 1965, I read in the history records that then Burma was among the first countries that recognized our independence. So we are grateful for the friendship of Myanmar, and in turn we want to continue this very close neighborly friendship.
You have seen this transition in Myanmar. You are the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Myanmar, and you have been here for more than 10 years. How do you view this transition from the military rule before 2010? You were well before here at the time. Then 2010 to 2015. Then now we are going to another 5 years, 10 years. How do you view this transition? Well, I think it is really rare that a diplomat who have seen all this in 10 years' time.
Well, I speak from the view of a diplomatic observer, and to be privileged here to work through these different chapters of your country's history. What I would say is, of course, I share the joy of the people that the desire for change has been met, and that the governments of the past have met the people's desire for change through the peaceful way of general elections. And I think as this way is available, I see that it's the wisdom of your people to choose to seek peaceful change for the transition back to democracy through the ballot box. And we saw that in the 2010 general elections, 2012 by-elections, and the 2015 general elections. So if I were to use a phrase, I think what any country becomes is essentially an expression of the will of the people. And in many countries, this is available through general elections. So through the elections in your country, I think the people have chosen this peaceful way for change. I would always say in my own metaphor that the Myanmar people, they want a Myanmar summer of reconciliation, unity, and maybe to find consensus to bring the country forward. So I think the Myanmar people do not want an Arab Spring, because we see Arab Spring has led to continued unrest. So this is where I'm encouraged and I respect the wisdom of the people in this country. And now is for a national conversation to start with the new government and the people to find a way forward together and work towards better days for the country, for people's lives.
Did Singapore play a role in the transition in Myanmar? Leader like Lee Kuan Yew visited Myanmar many times, knew many leaders in Myanmar. Did Singapore play a role in the transition?
Well, I think it's not playing a role, it is keeping the friendship. And of course, when there are such visits of our leaders coming here, or your leaders visiting Singapore, there will always be diplomatic conversations. And of course, in conversations, there may be ideas, exchange of views. So, but then, as I say, in the end, it is how the government of a country at a certain period in time will decide, based on its relations with many countries, to come to a decision which way it wants to go. So when I came in 2006, I was then learning about the political situation of your country, and there was this document called the 7-Step Roadmap to Democracy. And if you look back today, indeed, through the past governments, the 7-Step Roadmap was honored and implemented. That has led to the opening and to a civilian government today. So my view is that this is something for the government of the country to decide and for the people to support it. Neighbors can give our views, but within our region, we respect each country's sovereignty, and within the ASEAN Charter or the UN Charter, there's this diplomatic principle of non-interference in the domestic affairs of countries. And we continue to wish Myanmar well, and where we can support your country through exchange of views, or as I mentioned, through our core approach of supporting your human resource development. Because in our view, that is the most important pillar for economic development. You have trained people, you can make things happen in growing the economy.
Now Myanmar has a new government, maybe complete new government, led by Daw Aung San Suu Kyi. We have a first civilian elected president, U Tin Kyaw. How do you foresee the relationship between the two countries. We have a very long, good relationship. But how do you foresee this, like next for 5-10 years with the new setup and new government here in Myanmar?
Well, I expect the relationship to continue to grow steadily and continue to be warm, close, friendly. I think fundamentally, I think a Myanmar and a Singaporean, we get along well because culturally and being in the same ASEAN community, we know each other well. And so I believe our bilateral relationship will continue to be strong, and there will be probably more areas of cooperation. Daw San Suu Kyi, we were privileged to welcome her in a visit to address the Singapore Forum, an economic forum in September 2013. And we look forward to the visit of His Excellency President Tin Chaw and his wife, Daw Su Lin, in the coming year. So with such high-level exchanges, particularly this year being the 50th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, I think the relationship will continue to grow and to be vibrant.
Any specific the high-level visits in near future between the two countries?
We are planning on our part, but of course it will have to be to fit the schedule of the new government. And so we are in dialogue now with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on what are convenient dates for my leaders to come and visit. Of course, we also welcome the new leaders of your country to visit us, because within ASEAN, we have this tradition of introductory visits, where a new leader or new minister would try to visit each member country on short visits to introduce himself or herself. So we look forward to the introductory visits of His Excellency President Tin Chaw and Her Excellency Daw San Suu Kyi. And on our part, we have a new foreign minister who's also planning to make his introductory visit here. So I believe there will be a series of high-level exchanges, particularly marking our 50th anniversary of diplomatic relations this year.
Yeah. As a friend of Myanmar, what would you say, in your opinion, are the main challenges for Myanmar?
Well, I think as in any country, I think the key challenge is national unity. And I think if there's national unity, you can get things done. And well, I understand, having lived here, you are such a big, beautiful country, but it comprises 7 states, 7 regions, much more multiracial than my country. So we understand all these years there's been this relationship between the different races that need to be sorted out. And I think that's where it's led to the nationwide ceasefire agreement. And we wish your peace process well. But my view is that if any country there's strong national unity, then you can have that consensus into which direction the country will go forward in your political, social, economic development. So that's my personal wish, that in the coming years there will be this peaceful national reconciliation and a desire to build national unity and to bring your country forward. Because today in the world economy, we're all facing challenges. We have to grow, we have to trade, we have to welcome investments.
In our efforts to develop the nation and economic development, we are struggling with the issue of capacity. We are the lack or the little resources of the skilled labor force. What would you say advise for that? Because you have really you are a symbol of social and economic development for many countries in the region. So what would you advise for us?
Well, I think the whole area of human resource development, any government should invest its resources in. For example, in my country, a high proportion of the national budget has always been invested in our education system, so that you build generation after generation of skilled workers for your economy to grow. From one of our experience is from the labor intensive to the high technology economy. So my government has been always emphasizing education, but even for us workers, civil servants, we are encouraged every year to go for training courses to upgrade our skills. And it goes, the whole concept in my country is lifelong learning. That, as long as you have the interest to learn in the civil service, they will pay for the training courses, and we can attend training courses every year. So I suppose in this new government, the focus will be very much on education, because this is a big investment in bringing education not only in the urban cities but countrywide. And I think this will lift up the education standards and lead on to skilled workers from vocational to tertiary education.
When we talk about AEC, as in Economic Community, many in Myanmar are very concerned that we don't really have skilled labor. Why country like Singapore is much advanced than us? What would you say? What country like Myanmar could do, or be a part of the AEC?
Well, I think every country can build out its workers for this exchange of workers within the AEC. And naturally, if Myanmar needs time, we understand. But I've seen Myanmar workers in my country, very hardworking, honest, dedicated, and I can see many employers are very happy with the Myanmar workers in my country. So I'm sure with time, as more people are trained and if they desire to work in neighboring countries, the Myanmar people will be welcome. But of course, as in any government's priorities, if your economic development, say over the next 5 years, require more people in country, then perhaps the encouragement is to encourage more workers to be built up, but to go into the different industries, different investments that are coming in. Because, well, we know the story over the past 5 years. Foreign investors come in, they have the same common challenge of finding skilled workers. And that's why in the area of skilled workers for various industries like tourism or engineering services, we are contributing this Singapore Myanmar Vocational Training Institute to help produce 800 skilled workers a year. It's a small number, but it's a building block to contribute to the growth of your economy.
Yeah. When we talk of this tourism, you mentioned about medical tourism. Besides medical tourism, how we can increase people's visiting the countries, each other, and more in future, because there are issue maybe, for example, maybe visa regime. What do you think? What we can do more better than what we are doing now between the two countries?
I think what I see, there's been a big contribution of two-way exchange of people through tourism. I think this past 3 years, there's been a growth of low-cost carriers between our two countries. More airlines are now available between our two countries. So I think for the average person, if they want to buy a ticket to, say, visit Singapore, say over Tinjan or Christmas or any holiday period, there's a whole range of very competitive airfares. And I think that's why I'm seeing the growth of Myanmar tourists coming to Singapore, because of a whole range of low-cost airlines. And the same too for Singaporeans. More Singaporeans are coming also to Myanmar. So I think the air traffic is a big catalyst for tourism exchange. The visa is really not a big problem, because I understand your embassy in Singapore is also facilitating tourist visas. In the same way, the Singapore embassy here in Yangon, we facilitate tourist visas for Myanmar people who wish to visit my country on tourism. So as a standard, we normally give multiple journey visas for a Myanmar citizen going as a tourist, so that if they enjoy the visit, they can still visit within the period of a multiple journey visa.
If we look at the past, what were the hurdles for the investment, for the Singapore investments, the investors in Singapore who are interested in, but there are issues. So what are the problems? What are the hurdles?
Well, I think it's something that's commonly experienced by all foreign investors in any developing country, or what you call an emerging economy. And often one of the key areas is a regulatory environment. To use a simple term, rule of law. So for instance, if foreign investments were to come in, the investors need to know what is the legal system in terms of implementation. Are the laws up to date in terms of international norms of welcoming investments? So I think it's been well documented in the reports like the World Bank's Doing Business report that comes out every year, and this is one common issue that's been noted by such reports and by foreign investors. They want to see a much more business-friendly operating environment with clear rules and regulations, so that they're very clear. If I want to start a factory in this area, how long will I take to get an investment license? Would it be easy for me then to hire Myanmar workers? Would it be easy for me then to lease a factory space? So all these are interrelated issues. So it is a whole aspect of what I would call the business operating environment that any foreign investor would need to come to any country and feel that it is business friendly. And I've seen that these past years, the previous government has tried to facilitate a more friendly operating environment, and I'm sure this new government can build upon it and try to open up the economy. Naturally, there will be people who are concerned that we should help to protect certain local industries. That is natural, but I think if a country desires to welcome foreign investment, is how to make it business friendly. Very basic step of applying for a business license. How long would it take for quick approval, and then the implementation?
One last question, unless you may want to add some more. You've been here for many years, again seeing all the transition. Maybe there is a long list. What are the moments that were important, that have been very important to you, that you have seen, witnessed in Myanmar so far?
Well, I would say one of the moments was after Nagis. It was a sad time, and I was with the tripartite core group representing ASEAN, with Myanmar government and the UN, trying to cooperate to facilitate emergency humanitarian aid to come in. And I went on the regular weekly helicopter visits down to Irrawaddy Delta to see the situation and to see how we can help the victims. But one thing I'm always very touched is the resilience, the strong spirit of your people to overcome any hardship. So it was a very painful time. I've been to different parts of the Delta, but everywhere I went, before I went up the helicopter, I would just try to wave my hat to just offer some encouragement. And you can see people smiling and waving back. It really can move me a lot. So today, when I see how the people in the Delta are recovering or have recovered, That I think will be a very strong memory in the resilience of your people. But I think the other memory would be the elections that have been held, because elections will always be a historic time, and to see, like last year's January elections, truly historic, truly disciplined, smooth, orderly. How people will patiently queue up over an hour to be early to vote. But that is again the strength of your people, the patience, the discipline. And I think it's an example to the world that it was such a smooth and peaceful elections. So I think these are two memories that I will take with me for this period of 10 years in our country so far. It's been a beautiful experience, and to be blessed with many friends in Myanmar. I think this is the privilege of serving my government in your beautiful country.
Anything you would like to add to our readers and audience?
Well, happy Tinjan, and may your country continue to grow steadily, and may there be peaceful national reconciliation, national unity, and a consensus on bringing the country forward to better and better days. Just with the money.
Thank you for being a good friend to the people here in Myanmar and also to the country, and for giving this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.